Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio once again our friend, Dr. Okey Ikechukwu. You are welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Ikechukwu is a member of the Nigerian National Institute, MNI, member of the National Institute, and then he is a development and governance consultant, a prominent media personality, executive director of Development Specs Academy, and we have had him in this studio a couple of times before. I'm happy to have him again, this time to discuss leadership, which is a subject of passion for you. Leadership and persistent corruption in Nigeria. I was asking you before we started whether there is a more fitting word than persistent corruption. Leadership and stubborn corruption, leadership and unrelenting corruption in this country. I mean, we
organic
have organic
and endemic
corruption, systemic corruption. What's going on in Nigeria? We recently marked 5 years of the present dispensation of the present government. We are now 21 years after democracy came in, and then we set up ICPC about 2001 or 2, and about 2003 we set up EFCC and so on, and we have made all kinds of noise about fighting corruption. But there are people who believe that there is even more corruption now than 21 years ago. There are people who believe that there is even more corruption now than 10 years ago. Why is corruption so persistent in our society? Why is corruption so it's as if we are completely helpless before this monster, this menace called corruption? Is there something, what can leadership do about it? And I mean leadership at all levels, from local government level to the national level. And then later we discuss what can people like you and I, what can civil society do about it, churches and mosques and so on and so forth. What's going on?
I'll start with the second question of what leadership can do about it. First, the leadership you're talking about is a product of corruption.
Oh, the leadership is a product of corruption.
So I'll go far, far beyond the 21 years of democracy. There was a military coup, the first military coup, during which very highly respected leaders, genuine leaders, were killed. I speak of them as leaders because they lived not for themselves, but for the welfare of the people.
And they emerged from the people.
From the people, and they were recognized as such. They were murdered in cold blood. Now, going by our tradition, all over the country, murder is not endorsed by any community.
No.
As a means of leadership change or recruitment. In all the popular religions, I don't recall anybody preaching that that's a means of leadership
Absolutely
change.
not.
But some people killed leaders and became leaders in their stead. Because that's a distortion of value at the primary level of who should we address as leader.
So that is primary corruption.
Primary corruption as a distortion of the value of to whom should the concept of His Excellency attach.
Oh, yes, we were calling them Your Excellency.
Your Excellency. So,
people who just committed murder with blood stains
stained in their hands, they became their excellencies for us. That's the first engagement. Second engagement, national esprit de corps collapsed because people then began to retaliate. Corruption of the institutions of state, whereby those given guns and uniform bought with our money
were fighting among
were
themselves,
using it to shoot each other. So you see that
so there was a coup and then there was a counter coup.
I won't even speak of coup. There was a distortion of value, further distortions leading to further decay, where institutions began to lose their essence also. So when they speak of corruption, corruption is distortion of values. If you make a pot of egusi soup, clean, pure, very nice tasting, I go and put some sand in it, I have corrupted your soup.
Sure.
Have I embezzled money? No. So corruption
corrupted
is to ruin the essence of anything.
So we should not reduce, narrow down the concept of corruption
to catching somebody who stole money.
Which is what we have been doing.
Precisely. So now go to my statement about the root, the current leadership being the product of corruption. So leadership succession began to now rest on braggadocio, on impunity. State policy also began to rest on impunity. 3 people will sit down and decide they should create a state, and they make an announcement. 9 people will sit down and decide that, okay, every state should have an airport, whether viable or not. Now, you can see that progressively, new people began to assume the title of leader who had no calling to lead, who had only understand, who could be technicians where there are genuine leaders. And so they were kept in incubators. The leaders were kept in incubators for 9 years. And when in 1979, the army said they were going back, how come Z could come out at 75? Awo could come out at 70? Aminu Kano could come out at about the same age? Nobody thought of challenging them because they still knew these are our leaders. But those below them, M.I.O. Para, Bola Ige, and the rest of them, were already at the age where they should have been the heads of state and regional, whatever at that time. Mm-hmm. So a national leadership group was kept back. Their mission was unfulfilled. So they came on again. So at the time we were saying Bola Ige, in those days in the 93, Bola, we were in the Guardian editorial board, Uncle Bola. It didn't occur to us, it was a grandfather. M.I.O. Paradem would probably have retired by the time civilian rule came back. Z Kanko will have been genuine elder statesmen you will talk with confidence. We are talking about Ambassador Hamza,
yes,
who was on the Guardian editorial board, the Wali of Sokoto. He was personal secretary to Ahmadu Bello.
Yes.
He was personal secretary also to Zik, as he told me personally. You had men, like he would tell you that time, there was only a day Zik and the Sadauna didn't talk. You had men who understood national leadership while protecting their group interest. So gradually you had, instead of national development plans, you began to have regime plans. Today, let's fast forward to the present. PDP came on. Take it or leave it. Obasanjo developed a fantastic program under the NEETS document. The seats component was not actualized and all of it, but it's a very good development project and all the rest of it. Obasanjo, who took over from him, Yar'Adua, same political party, Yar'Adua introduced the 7-point agenda. Same government.
Abandoned the need.
The same Yar'Adua had a vice president who took over from him and announced transformation agenda fully.
So no continuity.
There is no concept of public service, no concept of leadership, no concept of governance because there's no development plan. They think of building up roads, infrastructure. That's why you have a town like Umuahia where I grew up, where as a child, I will open the tap in the house to take water, yes, or bathe in the shower.
Yes, and there was public tap.
For those who didn't have in their houses.
Yes.
And then today, they don't have boreholes. Where they have, it will be commissioned. So there's a progressive deterioration. So going back to the whole idea, so it's saw that progressively, for instance, ownership of oil wells was not discretionary. You bid for it and all of that. Now, everything became discretionary until the Nigerian state became a criminal enterprise. So corruption of values.
The Nigerian state itself degenerated to become a criminal enterprise.
It is a criminal enterprise now. It degenerated to become and remains. So that's why when we complain about corruption, I believe, I may be wrong, that today corruption is at its peak. It's worse than it's ever been in our national history. Nepotism, incompetence, insecurity, and inability to even see or admit the truth.
Corruption is at its peak because of nepotism, incompetence in high places.
High places, but that's the whole point. Is leadership drilled down, incompetence, inability to understand the actual challenges of the country, a reduction of national vision to personal vision, a total insensitivity to any world outside your personal opinion, which is not informed by knowledge or exposure or interaction. Now, having said that, it's a build-up. It is still the same elite. If you say the Buhari government is not doing well, I will agree. My opinion is not doing well. But I'll ask you, if you take away 70% of persons connected with the Buhari government at all levels, federal and state, you will have nothing because 80% is PDP.
Yes.
So it is still the same people.
It's still the same people who have been on for 21 years.
And they've been on for longer than that. So you find that the Nigerian state progressively became incapable of producing responsible leaders because accountability ceased to be part of governance. And what you might call those thrown up by the years of military rule. I'm a military governor. Oh, George is my friend. I make him my commissioner. Or I may
It's not about efficiency, not
Beg your
about
pardon.
exposure.
Oh boy, come and join me. Then I'm a head of state, and okay. There was this boy who was my ADC when I was in so and so place. You'll be governor of Kwara. So you appoint me, a young man who has never managed 50,000 to be a state governor,
and manage
hundreds of millions at that time, and then I don't even have the benefit of a house of assembly, of elders, of traditional rulers who can advise me.
Checkmate a little.
No, I just appoint any 6 people I like as commissioners. And remember, anything I write down is law. Decree. You can't query it. Edict. Now, that is what the concept of leadership became. But being that I'm young and I'm the law as I walk around, and I haven't quite dealt with the challenges of youth. Not having grown up properly, I was a bit of a rascal. I got into the military training. Now I'm a colonel or whatever. Lo and behold, I have a lot of money and nobody can challenge me. So every Friday there's a party in the State House. Every Saturday there's a party in the State House. On Sunday I have hangover until 4 p.m. And for these parties to take place, there's a special staff whose business it is to go and pick up girls for me every weekend. And these girls are the daughters of the elders and the community, and they all address me as His Excellency. And so you see that the decay became so that is corruption. Comprehensive corruption.
In the 70s, I mean, and it is a sad chapter in our history. I am aware that in a number of states in this country, when the military governors in those days are going to visit schools and visit places. Secondary schools students were arranged as prostitutes for the governor and his
entourage. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
So what you are talking about, that is corruption at its height.
That's what
degeneration.
Now, those who are supposed to tell you, my child, no way, are the ones nurturing what the child probably wouldn't have done if not for that misleading gesture. So you can see distortion of values. Then distortion of the reward system, distortion of the management of state funds, they are all building together. Now, all of that went on until we got into the 21-year time bracket you're talking about, which is the current democracy. Fine. In an election held, Obasanjo won and made a national announcement that, look, I'm here for national service. If some of you think because you you supported the election, this is time to loot, please regard your expense as contribution to national development. The first challenge attacking him came from a senator from his own party. Like this, you must be dreaming. Why do you think we put our money into it? So there was a disconnect from the beginning.
Investment.
Now, let's move the 20 years to the present. We've spent on the road building, road construction, power, education, health, all of them. On roads, let's just take a simple inventory, maybe leave the rest. If you go from Abuja to Kaduna, there's a road. Since 1999 we came into democracy, that entire stretch of 2-hour drive has not been totally good.
In one part or the
There's
other.
always one part that's been bad. 21 years. You say, okay, no, I want to go to elsewhere. You go through Buhari, you take this Gere Road and you want to take Manchok to Jos. The same thing.
Or you go from Gwagwalada to Lokoja.
Gwagwalada to Lokoja, the same thing. 20 years. You say, no, let me go from Lokoja to Ayangba. The same thing. Then you say, no, let me take Kefi to Jos. Same problem. Kano through Kaduna, same problem. It's okay, I'm going to the south. Let me take Makodi to Enugu. Same problem. You get to Enugu, okay, let me go Enugu to Port Harcourt, same problem. No, let me take Onitsha. All these are federal roads. Not one federal road in the Federal Republic of Nigeria
has been sufficiently resurfaced properly, the whole stretch.
For 20 years of democracy. So let's leave Buhari alone. It's the Nigerian elite of which is part of a symbol. Now you come to health. Nothing. Power. Nothing. Education. Nothing. Academic performance plummeting, expenditure going up. And they say, the problem is the international benchmark is that 15% of your budget should go into education, and we're only spending 4%. Dishonest analysis. When you take the money going from the Education Trust Fund, the interventions of the, what do you call it, the education tax. Then you take tertiary education trust fund. You take the support from organizations like MacArthur and so many other endowments. You find out that we are spending probably 5 times what we should expect to spend. Nobody is paying attention. They are looking at the budget. And they're also not asking, even the little we are spending, where is it going into? Infrastructure. That's why a state governor will make a very proud address to the state. He had just invested 2.2 billion to promote education so that our children will have the best education and become part of the 21st century. What did he do? He spent 2.2 billion building new classrooms, equipping them. All he has done is to award contract to his friends.
For sure.
Because classrooms don't give education. It
No.
is teachers who do. How much have you spent on teacher education? Nothing.
Nothing.
What is the award you give the best graduating student? Nothing. What is the best dancer given? 2 million, 5 million, and a car. So you're telling the children, these
That
are the
dancing,
examples to follow.
yes.
Then as governor, as senator, as speaker of the State House of Assembly, what is your lifestyle? You have massive number of cars. You make all the money in this world, which 6 months ago nobody would have thought of, and nobody queries you.
Yes.
Corruption of the responsibility of elders. And so that's what has got us where we are.
So
And this-
it is actually, you are talking of values.
Value distortion,
of values.
which is now showing itself in irresponsible behavior. And that irresponsibility extends to taking public funds as if it is your own, being disrespectful in every sense of the word, and not even realizing the need to conduct yourself with dignity and decency.
A few days ago, a Nigerian was caught in Dubai or somewhere who had just defrauded by internet scam $100 million of US money. Now, and somebody wrote an article and said, we need to all take responsibility. These things are happening because of the kind of models we promote. I mean, if you promote whoever has
Made quick money.
whoever has made quick money, whoever has the most expensive car, the guy bought a $500,000
Oh, wow.
2020
model.
2021 model of Rolls Royce. And we will be hailing him. We say he has done well, but nobody is asking how.
Some others will be saying, I want to be like him.
I want to be like him. And then if you take the social media, now you have talked of the older people, but if you take the social media dominated by young people and see the comments about whoever
Making it,
quote unquote, making it, then you say what you talked about, distortion of values, is dominant all over the place. There is this story told of Okpara, who was premier of
of Southeast.
southern Nigeria, southeastern Nigeria. It is under Okpara that Enugu layout was laid out, right? And he never had a plot.
Yeah. Same with Omar here. My father's house was in the new layout. Okpara did not have a plot.
He never had a house. But somebody who becomes governor of 1/4, is it 1/4 of eastern Nigeria at that time? 1/4 or 1?
No, about actually the equivalent fully of about 11% or 12%.
12%
of the old eastern
of the
Nigeria.
old eastern Nigeria. He may have 4 or 5 plots in Enugu,
In addition to
having one in
owning
Abuja.
nearly
and
all the
having-
hotels.
Yeah. So you see what has happened to the concept of leadership. So actually leadership collapsed. We had some, not just rulers, we had some occupiers, some occupation
office.
force that came upon us and began to model very decadent values.
driven by consumption only.
Consumption,
Distribution.
Yeah, distribution.
The other element I want to bring out, you mentioned them, Okpara. Now, Okpara, Sardauna, Awolowo, and all the rest of them. Like you say, they governed massive sections of Nigeria. Today, infrastructure for governance has been multiplied into 36 places to govern the same space. The cost for that infrastructure for governing the space has gone up by nearly 2,000%. Because now you have your governor and deputy governor. Then you have, more commissioners than all of them ever had in the past.
And senior
And
personal assistants.
you have close to 2,000 PAs, SAs, and SSAs combined.
Managing a territory that is 1/10 of the one managed by Sardauna and
With
Opara.
10% of the same number. And the total monthly expense, just only on your office, would have run the state. So what that tells you is also there's leadership recruitment going on. What the current leaders are doing, they are recruiting a new set who will replace them on the path of consumption. Because when I'm your senior special assistant, in addition to 500 others, and we don't really get to see you, but every month we get an allowance of 250 or 500, and we're all angling for positions. What do you think we'll do when we get in? So the damage is comprehensive. So those who are close to people in the office are not being groomed for public service. That's number one. All the youth platforms where you could also say they are being groomed have been taken over by the same thing. Nigeria National Youth Council.
Often led by some old man.
Who are the youths there? Some only slightly younger than some of us. Graduates of 15, 20 years. Some are even early grandfathers. You have people with, and that's 1, 2, NANS, National Association of Nigerian Students. In the last 25 years, that association has not had less than 2 presidents. And there's none, any of them who doesn't drive a jeep during his tenure. Because these are, first of all, not really students. I recall we had to intervene in one case. That was 2006 or 7. NANS elections were about to go on. So one of the young men I was mentoring came and said, he wanted to be NANS president. If I could guide him and help. He also needed support. Some of the people I knew in public places told them that this is what he would do as NANS president. So I met up a few big people I knew, called him, and he mapped out what made sense as a program. I told him, these are the things you have to avoid. This is what NANS has become. When I was in the university, there was a rigged election, Student Union election. Now, that shows how much damage politics had done even back then. MPN sponsored one candidate, MPP sponsored another. So it now turned out that from the East alone, there were 3 of them contesting for the position. I say, no, the first thing we do, 4, is to bring you, 4 of you must choose one person from among you. That's how it works. If you cannot have confidence in another person, then you're not driving a development agenda. You want to say is me. So choose whoever among you think can drive the vision. So a very prominent person from the Southeast, he was holding a position, I think it was then National Vice Chairman, PDP Southeast. I called him, I said, look, you have to host a meeting. He said, well, I said, this is what it is. This is how we need to guide these people. These young boys are taking on this pattern of power thing. I want the meeting to be in your house. I said, listen, is this position you're holding that Bode Judge held? And held Nigeria? You must realize you're not a small boy. He was like, I fixed the meeting in his house without his consent, and we came there. What happened? The boy I thought I was working with was brought to the meeting in a Rolls Royce by Yes, by a very popular politician we knew, who apparently was the one funding him. So I came out, we all greeted and everything, and that was 1. 2, the major issue raised was that the other boy being sponsored by a governor from the south, I think Akpabio then, that the man only yesterday he gave him 13 million for his mobilization and all of that. So, and one of the people, the main person because of whom I really wanted that meeting to take place was a lawyer of either 6 or 9 years standing who was contesting for president.
A lawyer
of 6, 9 years. Of a lawyer, somebody who graduated 6, 9 years ago, wanted to be president of NANS. All you have to do is go to a university because you must be a student, isn't it?
And register for
PGD. You just need an ID. I was coming there to tell him the story of his life. One turned out to be even a married woman with her first child, being supported by somebody I knew, somebody's wife. So when this boy now came, the whole thing hit me.
When he came in his Rolls Royce.
When the guy brought him, and he's somebody I knew. I called the person I asked to convene the meeting. I said, I'm so grateful that this is happening. Now I know. So that's when the entire thing unraveled exhaustively. What am I leading up to with all of this? even the platforms for leadership recruitment have been taken over. At the political level, at the level of values, at the level of even religious leadership, except few people like you and a few others. This is not about flattery. I see the music you play, you do your reflections. You are a pastor, and I use that in quotes. At the risk of immodesty, go look for people like you. You come out in tears. It's an industry. And therefore, even at that level, it's a fraud. And I'll end this part on the religious thing with, I won't call him a second or distant cousin, because it was his eldest brother I knew who had sent him to me. Then I was head of communications in the Federal Ministry of Education, that he needed a job. The young man came, I called for a certificate, looked through everything. I told him, well, he said, some people had promised him a job in one ministry, was to pay this amount. I said, listen, no recruitment is going on. And anybody who collects money from you in the ministry is not giving you any job, so don't lose the money. You're not computer literate. Go and deal with that. Find out the cost. I'll give you half of it. You tell your brother to give you half. That's what I can do now. By the time you're done with it, which will be about 2 months, come back. There's nothing going on right now. But it's important we maintain contact because I'm sure you're under a lot of pressure. So I didn't see him. I think about 4 months later, he came back to the office. Came to, good evening, Uncle. Yes, he has come. I said, I've not seen you for so long. Even the money I gave you, you didn't tell me how did you do. He said, well, that I came to tell you that I'm now a man of God. I said, oh, really? He said, yes.
So he didn't go for the computer training. He went to do man of God training.
He said, oh, that there's this, I think somewhere in Nyanya, but somewhere in Abuja, that there's this theology school. He has gone there. He will soon complete his 6 months. He's now a man of God, that he preaches, he's teaching, that his congregation is going to grow. He will be laying hands and all of that. I asked him, I think Ben, I don't remember his name. I asked him to sit down. I asked them to get him a drink. I said, you know what I want? I want to tell you a few things. He said, okay, Uncle, yes. I said, first, you're not a man of God.
Oh, you told him you're not a man of God?
Oh, yeah, trust me. He said, I said, you're not a man of God. You're looking for a job. You couldn't find a job. You went to a place, underwent a training, and please show me in the Bible where people went to a theology school and became prophets. I said that it's just because of the school in Nyanya for 6 months.
You have become prophet.
Look at the jeans you're wearing. I said, now, it's only 2 of us, so just talk to me like your elder brother. If I brought a deal to you now, you've come to see me in the ministry and say, there's a contract they're trying to do. It's for 20, 60, or 300 million. I want you to pretend to be a contractor so that I'll use you. Will you say no? He burst out laughing. That's a man of God. So you see the comprehensive damage being done.
Every sector has been bastardized.
Totally vandalized, not just bastardized. And so you now bring it up to the leadership thing, where falsehood is mistaken for reality. If you deny that there's corruption and cite somebody who has been jailed, then you're fighting corruption.
Now, under these circumstances, to wrap up this program, because time is gone, what word of hope do you have for our people? I mean, what is the silver lining? What word of hope do you have with regards to leadership and persistent corruption in this country?
No, the point is that each person must be doing his bit wherever he or she is.
Each person must be doing his
So this delusion that it is when you go on TV, it shows you're changing Nigeria, it must stop.
Each person must be doing his
wherever you are. You're going, there's COVID, people are suffering, you're a very wealthy man, you go and give the federal government 10 billion.
But leave your people.
Your village people are hungry. Your workers are hungry. You didn't give extra allowance to your driver. The estate where you live is the way it is. But you want the one that appear on national television. Start where you are. Any other thing that is more comprehensive, the soil is not appropriate for a major intervention. Except there's a leader who is so disposed and who will therefore begin to fail to transmit the wrong things.
In the church today, I said to the people, I said Dorothy Day, who was heading one group in the U.S. called Catholic Worker, real activist for social change during the civil rights movement. I say she said at the funeral of Martin Luther King Jr. that Martin Luther King Jr. learned to die every day. And I say you cannot be a leader unless you learn to die every day. It is called kenosis, self-emptying.
Yes.
Self-emptying. So so what you are saying is that it is only on the individual level, really, and small group level, really, we can fight this.
People are just struggling to preserve existing privileges, not offer leadership. And many think they are better just because they can criticize. No, what are you doing at your level? You are there struggling with your parishioners. I'm there struggling with those I'm mentoring, doing training, both paid and non-paid. If I die today, nobody is going to ask me whether I condemned Buhari on NTA. They're going to ask me, the young people who crossed your path, how many of them did you try to help? So that's what matters. So that the delusion also is a distortion of the concept of social intervention to think is that only what appears on headlines is of benefit to society. It isn't.
And that delusion is very right.
It's driving. And just 2 examples. Zik. Adeniro Ogunsonya became a national leader because he said, I want to be like that man. Who was the man? Zik. We should ask ourselves. That's why I emphasize doing where you are. You don't know who is saying, I want to be like that woman, or I want to be like that man.
Mentoring.
Clinton became president. As a little boy, he saw Kennedy. That for me is where, and it is in that way that God actually works.
On this positive note, we shall end this program. We are going to defeat this monster called corruption by individuals where we are, by giving example, by mentoring young people, by inspiring young people. After all, they say leadership is influence. By doing things that become influential for young people, not on the pages of newspaper, not on TV, not doing some camouflage, but by living authentic lives, following due process, taking on values that build humanity, that build society, and being examples of the society we desire. Be examples of the humanity we desire. And then there will be people who will see us. We may not know that people are seeing us, but there will be people who will see us who will want to be like us. And cumulatively, we shall transform our society for the better. Thank you very much. I have been speaking with Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, MNI, who is a prominent media personality, a teacher, and a governance and development consultant. We will need to have you again so that we continue these conversations. It has to be continuous for the betterment of our society. So that when we die and we go before God, we can say, Lord, you know, I try small.
You will know even before we speak.
God bless you.
You too.
Thank you.
You too.